most of my career, I could have gotten you as many 1,000-ounce bars in the blink of an eye as you would ever want. But there was a period of time last year where we couldn't get any 1,000-ounce bars. And so it's a very fluid market.
I had an interesting conversation with a potential client yesterday who was interested in potentially selling some gold only because he wanted to buy a truck this week and he needed to have funds wired within like 24 hours or 48 hours. And he was surprised that it was going to take time for him to send in his gold, get it inspected, validated, and receive payout, probably about a week turnaround from the time he packaged it up and started sending it in. For people who are concerned about being able to get currency out when they need it for whatever opportunity when they're holding appreciated metals, what are some strategies that they can employ to position themselves ahead of time for a fast turnaround when it comes time to liquidate if they need currency out?
Don't wait until the last minute. You have to send it back. It has to be received, checked in, and validated. The same person who says that is probably the same person that says, how do you know that what you're sending me, how do I know that what you're sending me is real? Well, we have to check it in. We have tests that we have to do. Start by weighing it, and if there's any discrepancy, we will go to the next step, which would be checking the composition. We have machinery, very expensive machinery that will test the composition of whatever it is that we're receiving. But what if we're receiving 250 pieces? Each one of those has to be tested. What if we're receiving a bag of junk silver where there's 10,000 pre-65 dimes? Do you want to be the person who gets a bag back that has $200 worth of 1984 dimes in it? No, we have to check and go through in a very methodical, linear fashion to make sure that what has been taken in is indeed real and legit, because it's only fair to the next person and to us who are paying for it. But, I guess if you really want the answer how to do it, send it into storage. And, if you know that in 6 months you're going to need to do something with it, send it into one of our storage facilities where it would be much easier for us to quickly, because you don't have to worry about shipping then, to quickly determine that everything is okay. Because when we bring things in, we'll determine it. And if it hasn't come out, then there's no waiting to check the authenticity or the condition of whatever it is that we're buying. And that condition is another thing. As an example, Canadian maple leafs are 24 karat. If you played a game of poker with gold eagles and gold maple leafs, you could play all night long with Krugerrands and gold eagles because they're both 22 karat. Both coins have an ounce of pure gold, but a tenth of an ounce of silver alloy sprinkled on top, which decreases the purity to 22 karat, increases the net weight to 1.1 ounce, and makes the coin much harder. You can play with your buddies all night long, and those coins would look brand new. You use maple leafs or gold buffaloes that are 24 karat, they'd look 100 years old by the end of the night. And so we have to make sure if we're taking in 24 karat gold as an example, and I don't know if that's what the gentleman was selling, but we have to make sure that they're in perfect condition, not only to pay what the coins are worth, but also to be able to guarantee that when we turn them around and ship them out to the next client, that they indeed are in perfect condition as they would, and rightfully so, expect. So, I understand where the person is coming from, and when you are in need of cash, you want it quickly. And gold and silver are a commodity, and they should be non-subjective, and they really are. But to do things the right way when you're running a business, you have to dot the I's and cross the T's. And that's really the most important thing here. And that takes a little bit of time on top of everything going in and out as it is. The volume that we're pumping out the door in the same vault that it's coming into is great, 4x, 5x from what it normally was. So, look, I'm not trying to say this will take long. It shouldn't take more than a week, and in many cases it won't. But especially during the holidays when, we have people on vacation and on holiday, and the postage and the UPS running at not full capacity, throw in social distancing and whatnot, you're not going to get things as quickly as you'd like. So a little bit of forethought. In other words, if I know that I'm going to need this money February 1st, I'm not going to wait till the last week in January to contact you. I may do so the second week in January and say, can I get this sent in now so that once you receive it and ready to go, you can get my check to me, bang, or my wire on February 1st. That's the way to do it. Just use a little bit of forethought instead of doing it at the last minute, and that won't be a problem.
Yeah, echoing that same sentiment, I have a client that's been contemplating purchasing a number of the 1,000-ounce Comex bars, and he's been asking me over the past several months, as he's done some small test purchases of a few bars each time and had them put in storage. He says, so when I get to my big purchase, are you going to be ready for me? And our operations buyers have been telling me all along, yep, we've got no problem on Comex bars specifically. Today I asked the question, and they came back with a different twist. They said, currently not a problem, but check with me again as we get closer to the date of. So that's the first time I've ever gotten that flavor on the answer. And just to corroborate, I guess to underline what you've been saying all along, is that things can change and do change in terms of physical availability at every end of the spectrum.
And there was a period of time, a long period of time. Most of my career, I could have gotten you as many 1,000-ounce bars in the blink of an eye as you would ever want. But there was a period of time last year where we couldn't get any 1,000-ounce bars. And so it's a very fluid market. There's no question about it. And when you see one trader on Comex who has purchased, 40,000 contracts, 4 million ounces of gold, look, that's one trader. What if all of a sudden it becomes obvious to very wealthy people that we need to find an exit hatch, and they start looking to precious metals? What is flush can very quickly turn into, as Mike Maloney says, unobtainium. And I do think that will happen. And I don't say that to try to spur sales. I say it because it's what used to be something we took as no big deal is our biggest challenge right now. And I don't see it getting any better. Quite frankly, the only way it gets better is if all of a sudden the problems in this country get better, because as they get worse, as human nature dictates, more people will catch on. Too late, probably, but when it becomes so obvious that you'd have to pretty much be half blind to not notice it. And a lot of us who are listening to this show noticed it a long time ago, in large part, thanks to guys like you who have been sounding the alarm bell. But, here again, we're still the minority. And when that changes very, very quickly, I think you will witness real difficulty in getting product. And I know I sound like a broken record, and I keep saying that, but to me, it's the biggest challenge that we face as a company, unquestionable. I think it's the biggest problem that this entire industry will face before long.
Even on a personal note, and it's on a related topic of preparedness, and you're right, we've been talking about that for almost a decade here. I got a personal email from a guest, Paul Helinski, whom we had interviewed. He's the founder of GunsAmerica.com, and we had interviewed him about food storage on a budget about a month or two ago, and he was exhorting me in this personal email he said, Dunnigan, he says he's been watching food stores. When I stores, I mean stockpiles on inventories at like restaurant supply wholesalers. He's been watching even the supplies like the bags from Uline that you need to store the stuff in. He's been saying the inventories are going down. They're not getting replenished. There's Chinese supply problems. There's other diversions of demand that are causing the supplies to go down, and we're reaching a critical situation on food storage. So this is not the only industry that's reaching a critical point of supply challenges.
Well, then you add price controls to the mix, and you think you have empty shelves now. Just wait. You disincentivize people to work hard because they're being paid less, and the quality of whatever it is that you're buying goes way down because higher quality costs more, period. And, there are times when price controls make sense, usually in a monopoly where, 2 or 3 companies own the whole industry and are jacking up prices. Or after a hurricane, if a grocery store chain has the only line on bottled water and they jack the price way, way up and no one can afford it, okay, fine. But when you're talking about an economy at large, it just creates greater distortions. And to your point, as you said earlier, when they remove those price controls, inflation becomes rampant as the prices go way, way up in order to find that equilibrium. So in any case, I do think we will see price controls. I think there's a very good likelihood, substantial likelihood, that that is the path that they will take. It's probably the only path that won't immediately create huge ripples. And so I think that's something people should think about.